Heidi ho, Arkansas Pilgrim here again. Finally down to it. Gonna finish the blanket chest. Maybe I should say complete the blanket chest. It's already finished. Woodworking terms, that could lead to confusion. All I have left to do is put on the hardware. It's ready to have the hardware pieces put on, and well, let me show you what those are right now. Here we have the hardware. I've got, it's all, what do we call it, antique bronze. Ordered this online. I'm only going to use 2 of these, but they came in a pack of 6. Strap hinges for the lid. And I would have preferred something a little more decorative than these, but it's basically all I could really find that was similar to what I wanted. It's handles for the sides. I wanted handles that had this, and I wanted something a little more decorative, but things were either really expensive or they weren't this type of handle. I didn't want a solid handle. Not sure why, but it's just what I wanted. Last, these little protective corners. These pieces are going to go on each corner of the top of the chest and on each corner of the lid. And let's see here if we can get a good, see, there's neat decorative work on them. Okay, I'm not taking any chances on here on this moving around because I don't have 3 hands. I'm going to need to hold this in place, hold the nail in place, and then hammer it. And, and I don't want to take a chance on it moving. And holding the nail in place, what I'm using here is using a pair of needle nose pliers. With a nail that small, you can't use your fingers. There are other ways to do it too. You might stick it through a little piece of cardboard and then hold the cardboard in place. Here, I'm choosing to do this. I've got the nice looking side out, the nail's up. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to put the nail through a little bit farther. Stick it through the hole there. Started. Of course it's crooked. I want the nail head to be flat, but let's see. It was relatively painless. There we go. Let's see, is this? Oh yeah, you could even see it shifted a little bit from where that one pressed in and set it in. So what I'm going to do, rather than sitting the point right in the middle, I'm going to put it a little bit over to as far over to the side as I can, then hopefully it will draw the thing over. And that's not going to be going anywhere. Well, need to flip that way. Here we go. Is that against? Oh no, here. Yeah, it's flexing. I need to stick it against that side. Pardon me. I need to nail properly and not necessarily. Oh, I guess it's good the camera was okay there. And one more. Sorry. Forgive me, I'm paying attention to what I'm doing rather than spending all my time looking. Paying attention to what I'm doing rather than spending all my time looking at the camera screen. Here's an example, let's see if you can see it, of an issue where I've mentioned it before several times in this whole project, which is the grains and having drill bits or anything else getting deflected by the hard grains. Well, that kind of happened on this nail right here. Not sure if you can see it, but let's see if I can. Yeah, should be able to see it right there. See there, it's poking up. It's not that big a deal right here, it's just barely coming out, and I may leave that one in place. But I was having an issue with this one, the one I was at first. I put the nail in here, and it actually caused a split right here. Yeah, actually, you can even click at it over there. It hit this part of the grain, and then just slid along. Well, I'm going to take this punch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an angled. Let's see, angle it way in, get a hole started, and get it to follow that way. It's not really that big a deal, I guess, but I mean, you can't say that about everything, but there, that should start and get it to go the other way. All right, here we are. And if you hear some voices in the background, that's I'm doing a replay of the live stream for Shed Wars Draft, and John at Will and Grow is just going off right now. So hey, but I'm going to let it be part of this video. Here we go. Got the corners on. Hopefully my voice is stronger than his. Got the corners on, and got them on here. And I just wanted to point out a couple things. As I was going along, I finally got down to where I was putting a little starter hole with a sharp, where is it? I used a different one, it was even sharper. I was starting the holes with a little bit of something because it just made it a lot easier, because then, well, these did move around a little bit. Once I had to unclamp them after I get into two nails, and putting and getting the starter hole there would help move it back into place, because the nail would go into the little starter hole. And it also would help make sure it went the right direction rather than having to pull them out and put them in and then go ahead and put a hole in anyway. Anyway, these are all done. And John's still talking. All right, now it's time for the hinges. Now, one thing about these hinges that's important is to make sure that the hinges, when you have it here and down here, that the hinge part, the pin, that they're, for the fancy term is collinear. They need to be exactly lined up. You don't want them cockeyed. You don't want one higher or lower than the other, because otherwise it'll make the lid twist when you open it up, and you could hear it. I mean, it'll, you'd be able to, but that's the right way to do it. So what I'm going to do is, for the up and down, I'm going to assume, and I think it's a pretty good assumption, that this is all nice and straight here. I'm going to have this top edge be the guide, place these on, and then put the screws in to hold it in place, and then attach it to the lid afterwards. I think I'm going to put at about a 2-inch distance here, because that looks good enough. 2 inches from each side, and then I'm going to have to mark and drill these without having this shift, which again is a trick with when I've got these hard grains. But hey, we'll see that in a second. Well, here we go again. Almost over, but still running into trouble. There's this nice It's a nice hinge. I mean, not super heavy duty, but I mean, it is kind of, it's a large area. It's not super thick, but these, let's see, tiny little screws. You know, they're not even a half, I think they're only about 3/8 of an inch long. And I just, and even, you know, there's would be 5 of them, but the lid would be held on by 2. And I'm just not comfortable with that. That's just too small. So, luckily, I save almost every screw that I get out of something. And I have some ones that are bigger. Let's see, put them next to them. There. It's not just longer, which is important. Actually, let me get out of the light here. Let's see. They're not just longer, but longer is good, but they're also a bigger diameter. And luckily, they're black. It's going to be on the back anyway, so they're not chrome or they're not. I have some other brass ones, but they're not this big, and so I'm going to end up using these instead of what came with the hinges. Of course, I will save these for something else, even though things this small, I don't. It's not very often I use some screw that small, so they'll probably be saved there for the next generation or who knows when. There we go. It's in place. Now, this is a drill bit for self-centering drill bit. It's got like a collar. You can see, hopefully you can see how that moves. And this will, and there's a little conical section here. We put it in the hole to help it center. Now it's too big of a drill, but I'm going to use it just to mark the center of the hole. There. Then hopefully that will and then I'm going to go ahead and try to make a mark. Yeah, I can feel it if the drill bit has made a point down there. There. Starting the hole. There we go. A drill bit this small would get deflected, so I'm just using the brute force method. And we'll see if the screw will go in. The small screw may just cut its own path. Let's see. Now these aren't countersunk screws, but since I've got countersunk screws will generally hold the thing in place because they kind of cinch into the hole. But once everything's all together, I think it will be okay. Yeah, these are just cutting right in. All right, I'm going to put the handles on the side. I was actually working on the hinges, got those hinges on, but then I realized I didn't want to have to mess around with having the lid there, so I want to put the handles on first. And I want them near the top because actually I need to clamp it in place, and if I can't put it down here because I don't have a clamp. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the marking the center of the holes. The screws with this are actually big enough where it'll be okay. But I am still going to do the same marking method I did on the hinge. I think, well, these screws are bigger than the other ones. Not real big, but again, this is a blanket chest. It's not, a treasure chest or something meant for carrying lead ingots. So, and I'm doing it by hand instead of using the drill, because just in case just in case it ends up stripping or something. I didn't want it to strip out, and actually that one was feeling kind of funny, to be honest with you. There at the end. These don't work out, I can always get some bigger screws and run them in there. But these should be okay. Okay, here I've got the lid set on top. Now, the proper way to do this, as Wrangler Star would say, would be for this part of the hinge to flap it down like that, and then set it down, move it around, turn, and have that part of the hinge hidden. However, there's a danger in that I want this to match up as much as possible. I want that to be exactly where it needs to be, otherwise the front won't be right. So I'm going to go ahead and have these on the outside. They're on the back anyway. So what? Now the trick is to get this done without this shifting, and let's see how that goes. Marking with this again. Of course, every time I push on that, it can move. So I'm going to, there, we've got a mark. It didn't move. Oh, there, that moved. I'm going to go ahead and get this screw in. This is, if you were manufacturing a bunch of these, this is not how you do this. Of course, if you're manufacturing a bunch, you'd have tooling and everything would be just right. But I can't, because it moved, I can't mark them all and put the screws in. I'm going to get that one, which I know is right, and then it will prevent this from moving as I put the others in. Here we go. There we go. There. Now, there, that's pretty centered. And this is one of those, it's going to be, this is the best I can do. And what's not quite finished is we don't want to let this fall back and mess up the hinges. So we need to put a chain on it. So it will, get a little bit past the top and hold there. And what I'm going to use is some chain I have left over from a light fixture. All right, my battery died and I wanted to keep going. I'm so close to finishing. I went ahead and already put a screw eye, 2 of them, here. One up here, one down here. Had to drill a hole first, and let's see if you can see this clearly. I've got to drill a hole. I had to drill a hole from the inside towards the outside, and I didn't want it to poke through. So wrap a piece of tape around a drill bit so then I can use it as a guide to see where I've got just the right depth. So that's when you're really worried about poking through the other side, that's what you do. It won't stop it, but you can see it. And now all I need to do is to take the chain apart is two pairs of pliers, open it a little, get it through the screw eye, and then just squeeze it back. It's complete. Quite the journey. Thank you for all of those, to all of those of you that have followed along on this. Oh, it's nice. There will be one more video, an epilogue, maybe a little fireside chat, at least I'm planning on it, to go over some of the things I learned. Man, this feels so good to be finished. Remember, do what you can with what you have where you are. See you next time.